Hi, my name is Max Weber. I teach biology and anatomy here in Building 600 for Central Carolina. I've always loved biology, but for some students, biology is a daunting class. For some of us, we haven't even been in biology since 9th grade. And for a few of us, we haven't never been in a biology class before. So what I want to talk to you about today is how to have success in your biology class. The first thing we need to do is plan the work. What do I mean by that? We need to get organized. The first thing I do for my students is I hand them a weekly planner. Now, this particular planner is set up Monday through Sunday and from 7 o'clock until 11:30 at night in 30-minute intervals. You should take a highlighter or a colored pencil and mark in where your classes are scheduled. If you have a job, you should mark in where your job is scheduled because you can't be studying on the job. If you have a long commute, mark in where your commute times are because I don't want you to be looking at PowerPoint slides or looking at your pictures while you're driving down the highway. Last but not least, don't forget family time. Mark in church time, time to have supper with the family, time for bathing the kids and getting them to bed. Then, once you have filled in those spots, take a look at the blank areas that are on your schedule. And those will be your study times. During the study times, you might say, but I don't have a 12-hour break to do study. You don't need that. 30 minutes here, half an hour, 20 minutes, 50 minutes, that's all the time you need to do effective studying. You see, as a teacher, I color code a schedule and I put this on my door. Notice I have where my class hours are, I have written down where my office hours are, and where I tutor my students. All right, how about the first day of class? You need to get to class early. Get yourself a seat up front, or at least a seat where you can see the whiteboard and the screen so you can hear the teacher. Make sure you get all the handouts on that first day. Next, you need to get a notebook. I recommend a 3-ring binder. The reason is you can put papers in, you can take papers out. If you don't want to be punching holes in your papers, get these plastic sheet protectors. The plastic sheet protectors, you can put in papers and take them out without having to punch the holes. Oops. Next, you want to put in your chapter outlines. You want to put in your chapter notes. You want to put in end of chapter questions, lab questions, as well as any handouts that your teacher hands you. Now, learning styles. What are learning styles? Well, it's the way that you study most effectively. To understand your learning style, we use an anagram, VARK, V-A-R-K. V stands for visual. A visual learner is a person who likes pictures, charts, colors are very important. Then there's A for auditory. An auditory learner needs to listen very intently to the teacher as they are presenting their class. R is for read-write. That means you need to read your textbook and your PowerPoint slides, but please note, there's a write component as well. As you're reading, you need to be an active reader and take notes. Then there's K for kinesthetic. Kinesthetic comes from the word kinetic energy. Energy is energy of motion. A person who's a kinesthetic learner needs to be doing something with the information that they're trying to learn. Please don't discount using the vark-learn.com website. True story. Had a student several years ago. She was sitting in my Biology 210 class right up front. She was taking notes furiously, and I said to myself, now that's going to be a successful student. On her first test, she made a 50. And the next day, she dropped my class. Never came back to talk to me about what was going on. The following semester, she was back. Mr. Weber, I'm going to study even harder. I'm going to do well in your class. I said, fantastic. First test, she made a 55. She's boo-hooing, I'm boo-hooing. She was working way too hard to not be successful. So I asked her, come to my office after class, we need to talk about this. So when we were sitting in the office, I said, what did VARK-Learn tell you about yourself? And she sheepishly looked at me and said, well, Mr. Weber, I didn't really go to the VARK website. I said, oh, wait a minute, you've been in my class for 2 semesters and you didn't go to the first website I told you to go to? I said, leave your book bag right here in my office, go down the hall to the computer lab, take that VARK test and bring me back the results. 15 minutes later, she comes back and she says, well, it says here that I'm auditory. What does that mean? I said, well, an auditory learner is a person who needs to listen intently in class. I said, just go get yourself a recorder, and as you can see, these recorders now are smaller than a cell phone. They can plug directly into your computer. So she recorded my class and listened intently while she was in my class. Her next test was an 80. Her third test was a 99. It was the highest grade in the class. I was so proud of her. And I asked her to share with the class, what is the secret to your success? And she said, I found out that I was auditory, and as I was going through the semester, I realized I have to listen to you 4 times. Not 3 times, that wasn't effective, and not 5 times, but exactly 4 times, and I then know all the material that you're teaching me. I asked her to explain to the students what is it that she did. Well, the first time she was listening in class, that was the first time she heard. Then later on that afternoon, she'd listen to the tape again. That first weekend, she'd listen a 3rd time, and then the weekend before the test, she'd listen to it for the 4th time. The following semester, she was in another teacher's class, continued doing her auditory learning, made A's in there. She has now finished from the nursing department, from the nursing program, and is a nurse at Toomey Hospital. So please, take VARK-Learn very seriously. Speaking of websites, there are several online help sites that we would like you to go to. Your Biology 100 textbook comes with a website, and your Biology 210 and 211 textbooks come with a website. We encourage you to go to these websites, take the practice tests and quizzes. Look at the animations and the various tutorials that are on board. Also, study the lab models using the keys that are provided for you. And don't forget to study your histology slides. Now a few words about PowerPoints. You should download your PowerPoints from D2L, where your teacher has uploaded them for you. Read those PowerPoints prior to coming to class. While you're reading your PowerPoints, compare them to what is being said in your textbook. On class day, bring the PowerPoints to class. You can take notes on the PowerPoints as the teacher is teaching. Now, what was the first thing we talked about? Plan the work. Now it's step 2. It's time to work the plan. What does that mean? Stay organized. You need to be an active learner. You need to read ahead. Do your website assignments. Take notes every day. Ask questions when appropriate, and try to attend every class. You see, the more we as teachers do for you, the less you will do for yourself. You need to also set deadlines. Use the calendar that we've created. Study every day using that calendar. If you have 20 minutes on Monday, use that 20 minutes. If you have 2 hours on Thursday, use those 2 hours. Stay on your schedule. How many of you have ever signed up for a gym membership? First week, you go every day. Next week, you miss 1 or 2 days. By the 3rd week, you stop going. Please, no cramming. Set real, tangible goals. For example, I will learn these 10 vocabulary words before I go to bed tonight. Or I will learn chapter 3 by Sunday night. Rewriting your notes is important. Do this as soon as you can after class. And when you're rewriting your notes, write them in your own words. Compare these notes to your PowerPoints and your text. While you're writing these notes, be able to answer how and why questions. Now is when some of your VARC comes in. If you are a visual learner, you can color code your notes. Had a young lady, she color coded her notes on the respiratory system in blue, the urinary system in yellow, and the circulatory system in red. And she said that while she was taking a test, if the question was about the respiratory system, she could close her eyes and see the blue notes and be able to get the right answer from that. Also, if you don't understand something, make sure that you take notes and write down actual questions to ask the teacher the next time you meet. Now a word about study groups. You want to keep your study groups small. 2, 3, 4 people is a study group. 20 people is a riot. Okay? Use study groups in lab. Use study groups outside of class. But the most important thing is to have specific assignments for each of your members. Let me tell you a story. We had 4 students who commuted from Camden. They didn't know they each commuted from Camden until they met when we mixed and mingled in lab. And they decided to have a carpooling situation. So when they were driving down, they would quiz each other during that 40-minute drive, and as they're driving back home, another 40 minutes of quizzing. But they took it one step further. They decided to have a meeting, a study group, every Sunday afternoon. They would tell their husbands, you're in charge of the kids, we're going to meet at so-and-so's house. But they didn't just go over there for a social hour. Each person came specifically designed to teach one subject for 30 minutes. So, first person would teach mitosis. After teaching that for 30 minutes to the other 3, she would give them a 5 or 7 question multiple choice quiz that the others would take. When they were done with that, then the next person would teach hers, maybe meiosis, teach for 30 minutes, followed by a quiz. And each person then went round robin. So for 2 hours, there was a very good, effective study group. Now a word about test-taking strategies. Sometimes we find that if a student doesn't do well on a test, it may not be their study habits. It may be their test-taking skills. So what you want to do is answer all the test questions that you have for practice tests on websites, on D2L, and in the back of your chapters. You want to step it up a little and practice writing your own multiple choice tests. You want to come to the class rested and confident. Something that overwhelms some students on a multiple choice test. They see the question, then there's 5 answers. And in a few seconds, all 5 answers look perfectly right. A strategy is to take some scratch paper provided by your teacher, cover the 5 multiple choice answers, read the question, and then think about what do you think the answer is to that question. Write that down on that white piece of paper. Pull the paper down, and if the answer you wrote down is there on the multiple choice, then that's the answer. Okay? Don't be fooled into taking another choice. Also, after the test is over, review the test key immediately. Your teacher will have it for you. You can't take it home. You can't take it back to your desk, but you can look at it at the front of the classroom. Look at the questions that you missed. Okay? Try to understand why you chose the answer that you did. Try to review these questions within 1 week of taking the test. Also, you will then be able to make your own final exam study guide based on those topics that you missed on each test, because the questions that you got right, you already know them. Repetition, repetition, repetition. The more you do it, the more you learn it. If it's possible, you can attend other Biology 100 or Bio 210 classes or labs. Just come to the classroom, ask the teacher if you can join in. Use flashcards, but not just any old flashcards. My recommendation is to take a 3x5 card, cut it in half. Put one word on one side, a definition on the other side, punch a hole in it, and put it on what is called a book ring. This way you can put in more words and take out the words as you're learning them. Imagine the psychological boost as your pile of words that you're having to learn gets smaller and the pile of words you've already learned gets larger. Now, why this size? Convenient to put into your pocket, book bag or pocketbook. And because it's such a small thing, you can carry it around with you. Imagine standing in the grocery store line. Couldn't you flip through 10 or 15 words? What if you're waiting to pick up your children at school? Couldn't you flip through 10 or 15 words while you're waiting to pick them up? One thing you don't want to do, use large cards. I had a student, showed me a big stack of large cards. She had put on them 10 words and definitions on each card. Well, that's not a flashcard anymore. That's a dictionary. You can look at the dictionary in the back of your book. This needs to be one word with one definition. Another word of caution about definitions. What definition should you put on the back of these cards? Had a young lady, well, I made flashcards, but they're not helping me. Well, let me see your flashcards, I asked. She pulls out a stack of flashcards this big. And I said, okay, how many times have you looked at these flashcards? Looked at them. I made those flashcards. I said, no, it's repetition. You have to look at it several times. So I took one flashcard out of the pile. It was osmosis. And I asked her, what's the definition of osmosis? She goes, I don't know. And I looked at the back where she had put a definition, and it was a whole paragraph that she had copied directly from the textbook. So I handed her the card and I said, okay, now you read that definition, you tell me what it means. She goes, I don't know what it means. I said, my dear, you've now created a stack of flashcards that has a mystery on both sides. That's not helpful. What you want to have on the back of your flashcards is your own words, giving a definition or an example, something you can understand. All right. You also can be creative with where you put your notes. My students have put them on the bathroom mirror so they can look at them in the morning when they're shaving. They can take pictures. You can use your cell phone. You can use a camera. Take pictures of the models. Make copies of the black and white drawings that come in your lab book. Make 2 or 3 copies of the unlabeled model pictures. Then you can practice filling in the answers until you get it right. And something that a lot of my students do now is that they create their own PowerPoint slides. They use their own words, their own pictures that they've downloaded from various websites so that they can be proficient at what it is they're studying. My students have come up with all sorts of creative ways to study biology. As you can see here, this young lady was using stickers to put on the leg model to help her learn the various muscles. This young lady blew up the pictures of the models, pasted them on cardboard, put marks on them for 1, 2, 3, and put the labels on the back. So it was like a big flashcard for models. This young lady, as you can tell, was kinesthetic as well as visual. Kinesthetic, she needed to write in large print all these various drugs for her pharmacology class. But she was also very visual. That's why she had them written in colors. She would categorize one group of drugs in black, another color in red, another group in green. Then she could step back and she could visualize. The green ones are this kind of drug, the red ones are this kind of drug, but the fact that she had a chance to stand up to the board and write these out, that's the kinesthetic part of it. These two here are calling flashcards out to each other during lab time. This young lady over here is putting stickers directly on the pictures. Again, as a way to learn the various parts. Now this group was very creative. They used some cardboard and put Velcro on it. And what they did is they made cards with the opposite Velcro on the back for the 12 cranial nerves. And they created this chart so they could put the cranial nerves down in order, whether they are motor, sensory, or both, and what their function is. They would take all the cards off, scramble them around, and then one by one pick up the cards and put them in the right places until they could do it flawlessly. They made an A on their cranial nerve test. This young lady took the pictures of the models and pasted them on the inside of a manila folder. She had one side of the manila folder with arrows pointing to the various parts that needed to be identified, and on the back of the folder were the answers. This way she could practice looking at the folders and even hold the folders up to show that to her study group. The internet is a wonderful resource to help you with biology. Of course, your textbooks have websites that you should go to. Google.com, just type in a question and you'll have various websites with the answers for you. Google Images, a wonderful place to go for animations and pictures. I love dictionary.com. If you're not sure how to pronounce these fancy words like olecranon, type the word in and they'll pronounce it for you. YouTube, another fantastic place to look at animations. And of course, when you go to D2L, your teacher will also have uploaded various websites that he or she would like you to visit. Now a word about tutoring. First and foremost, ask your instructor for help. Look at their office hours that are posted on their door in Building 600. Adjunct professors will provide you a means to contact them. Go to the Tutoring Center for help. The Tutoring Center is in room 585, Building 500, and it's open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. from Monday to Thursday. You can also go to online tutoring. And last but not least, you can come and see me in Building 600. I tutor every Friday from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. Any subject that you need me to help you with. Now it's time to get serious. It's time to think like a teacher. I was in sales for 10 years before I went into teaching. And one thing you learn in sales is you have to understand what is the customer here for. You learn as a salesman to ask, what's the customer looking for? What is the customer asking about? What does the customer need this good or service for? And when does the customer need it by? This allows you as a salesperson to better help the customer with their needs. Well, similarly, you as a student should be looking for clues that the teacher is giving you. Does the teacher repeat something? If they do, you need to write down, that's an important thing. Does the teacher stop lecturing off the PowerPoints and start drawing something on the board? That's a clue. It's something very important. Does the teacher emphasize this in class? Does the teacher ask the students about this? Those are clues that that's an important concept. So, what's the bottom line here? Don't let biology get boring. Study hard. Study hard. Participate. Participate. And participate. So, what do I do today? Get your books from the CCTC bookstore. Get all the lab supplies, student notes that you need. Pick up all the office supplies, books, pencils, papers, a recorder if that's what you need, thumb drive. Don't forget to take your VARC test. Figure out what your study styles are. And look at your CCTC email. Your teacher may have uploaded first day assignments. Your PowerPoints may be downloaded there, and there may be other goodies that your teacher is giving you. Have a great semester. Don't forget, plan your work and work your plan.